believe in all kinds of different gods with 18 arms and 3 heads. I can't relate to that. That's what Churchill said, okay?
That's interesting.
And that was in the 1940s, and Churchill was arguably one of the smartest men, in my opinion, to ever walk the face of the earth. And he made that statement, and his cabinet just looked at him. And Churchill, by the way, was, I guess he was agnostic, if not even worse. Okay, maybe a deist, but he was not he was not a religious man. But that's why he chose the Muslims over the Chinese. Because of the God. It was closer to kind of what he knew.
Yeah, because the Islam and Christianity, and those are all more in Judaism, all kind of emanate from the same base.
Same thing up until Abraham, or just after Abraham. Same book, same people, same faith.
Well, they're technically referred to the Abrahamic religions,
right?
Whereas the East is a completely different, which is interesting because it's one of the reasons why when we won World War II, the Japanese, we were able to get along with them after we took over, whereas trying to take over Iraq is a completely different game. There's a certain, and again, I'm not an expert in those religions, but when the emperor said we lost, time to stop fighting.
Exactly.
They were like, we're done. Islam doesn't have that. Like, if you take over Iraq and the guy says, hey, stop fighting, they're going to be like, well, now you're going to die.
That's exactly right.
So it's a completely different. So he actually was, interestingly, it's kind of for us now the flip side, that we would have an easier time dealing with. We had an easier time dealing with the East, with, East South Korea. South Korea is still in our orbit. Mm-hmm. Even though South Koreans had a completely different set of religions, they remain in our good graces, whereas we can't stabilize anything really in the Middle East other than Israel. And I don't know if I think there's any other place that isn't at least facilitating our enemies in the back door, because they're just
Israel and arguably perhaps Jordan.
Right. Okay, Jordan. Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, you're right. Jordan is pretty much they don't really. Yeah, they don't give money to people who want to blow us up. But everyone else, Egypt and Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, they're like, oh yeah, we're friends, and then they're giving money to the Wahhabis that want to shoot at it. It's a whole nother game. And again, there's a whole other history of that. But so, like, perfect example of what I see the stuff out here now. They're talking about deplatforming. Like, I totally agree. Like, Twitter, if I ran Twitter, I'd shut his account off 2 years ago. I swear I would.
Really? Why would you have done that?
Well, maybe not 2 years ago. I would have shut it off now. There's a couple things. So I'm not a big deplatformer, but I don't believe, like, there's a few times where I feel like he incited violence. I wouldn't have shut it off permanently. I would have suspended him. There's a couple times where, like, when he made a comment about the Second Amendment thing, I take that very seriously. If you're a person in power, you can't flirt with that. So I would have probably suspended him a couple times. I wouldn't have kicked him off permanently. But I understand why they're doing it now, because I looked at those videos and I'm like, what are you doing, dude? What are you thinking? And again, I'm not on the side of big tech. Mm-hmm. No way. I hate what they're doing. I hate how they censor this doctor and then tell you this doctor is right. I hate it. So I'm actually on a certain level in support of Trump and the Republicans' position, although the way they went about it is so bad.
Sure. I agree with that too. But if you deplatform somebody, if you deplatform anybody for any reason, you now set a precedence. I
think it's okay to set a precedence for public officials or public people inciting violence.
You're right. But consider this. Let's say you don't deplatform. Keep him on there. I think they shouldn't have kicked him off of Facebook. I don't think they should have kicked him off of Twitter. I still want to see him on there, because what we're going to hear now is, according to MSNBC, according to the Wall Street Journal, according to CBS News, now you can say, you can say, according to Trump's tweet or according to his Facebook post. That's unrefutable. Like when they cut Farrakhan off. What's a good thing they cut Farrakhan off? Why? I want to see what he has to say.
I don't agree with taking off Alex Jones.
No.
But again, to my knowledge, I've never heard. All I'm saying is that I don't personally. I think it's a matter of the company. Like if you're Twitter and he does something, he uses Twitter and people die. You as a Twitter company owner, you don't want that. Even if it's legal,
you're right. You're right.
From a business standpoint, like because I was actually disagreeing with someone online about this. They were saying deplatforming works. I said only when it comes to extreme examples of saying go out, or when Donald Trump's to me I really believe this. Donald Trump saying the election was stolen is a direct attempt to incite, maybe not death, but he's trying to get them to do something. Because he knows damn well he just lost. He knows that. You could see that night when he was standing there before the votes came in. He's not surprised. He didn't think that he was going to win the next morning. That whole crap about the voter dumps, no.
He
when
knew.
You watch him that night, he was like, yeah, I guess we're going to do okay. You could tell that his people told him, hey, man, when it comes next tomorrow morning, you ain't going to be president no more.
Yeah, he wasn't pumped. He saw the handwriting on the wall. Sure, he could have woke up and things could have been different, but he certainly didn't expect that.
It happens every election.
Yeah.
The more black, the more dense, the more diverse areas always come in later because there's more people who live together. Mm-hmm. And it's the way the election system's set up. There's no, we were winning at 11 o'clock. He's not that stupid. Like, I think he's not the brightest guy in the world, but he's not as stupid as he pretends. You know, he knows darn well what happened. Mm-hmm. He knows that the rural community's coming first. You know, Donald Trump's not, I don't think he's a stupid guy at all. I do think that he could stand to read a book or two. You know, I think that would expand his horizons, but he's 74 now. So I don't know. I don't know if, you know, but it's never too late to change your life. But, yeah, I mean, I just think that, right. Trust me, I am not a fan of deplatforming, but the way he used, like his Facebook page is different. His Facebook page is pretty harmless. Like, you know, I go on there and he doesn't really say a lot. I mean, his Twitter is where he really goes off because that's, you know, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want to see him kicked off permanently, but here's as an owner of the company, people are now blaming Twitter for the stuff that he's doing, and I understand where they're coming from.
No, you can't. You can't blame Twitter for that. That's like blaming if you had some deranged individual who made up a bunch of pipe bombs at his house and then set them off in shopping centers. Why? That's the fault of Ameren because he did it under the lights that they had on because Ameren supplied the lights. Well, Ameren, it doesn't matter. They did that because they elected to do that. It has nothing to do with Twitter. Now, if the people had not read the tweets, would that have helped? Yeah, maybe. And if we made the speed limit in this country no more than 30 miles an hour ever, that's going to save a whole lot of lives on the highway. But we don't want to do that.
But I do hold Trump in part responsible.
I absolutely hold him responsible. I don't hold Twitter responsible is what I'm saying.
No, absolutely not. No. Twitter, I don't like, and again, I don't blame Facebook for the Russian thing.
No, I don't either.
Mean, why would you, the stuff that I could tell when it was working, I mean, why would you beleave that crap?
Well, see, that's just it. I'm glad you brought that up because I have said, people say, well, they said there was Russian influence in the election. Well, there was Russian influence in the election because they made up fake Twitter accounts, they made up fake Facebook accounts, so they influenced the election. Ultimately, though, it was the dopes that actually read and believed that stuff that influenced the election. Okay, that's what really influenced the election. People that didn't do their due diligence and vet a source before believing it.
But I mean, we don't know what would have happened if Hillary Clinton won. Who knows?
No, we don't know.
And the thing about it is, I have no, I don't compare her to Trump, but she did make those emails go away. Why? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was something there she didn't want people to see.
And so now I'm speculating it could have been Bill Clinton involved with Epstein. Who knows what's on there?
Yeah.
But it makes me distrust her immensely too. Even though I voted for her because I assumed Donald Trump would do this.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that, you can't, this whole thing with blaming the Russians and blaming Twitter and blaming the gun manufacturers and blaming the rap musicians and blaming hard rock. It's like, because we have it so good in America, we're always looking for a villain.
Well, that's it exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. And something that Thomas Sowell talks about a lot. He says, when you see a disparity between two groups, they always assume it's because something caused it. But he says it's never been the case in history anywhere where if you compare two groups on any basis, that they're going to get the exact same results. If you're talking about millions of people, they always assume that if there's a disparity between one and another, it's caused by some kind of villainous action, as opposed to saying, well, what is the action that causes the positive action? You know what I'm saying? Instead of worrying about how to redistribute wealth, they never talk about how to create more wealth for everybody.
Yeah.
It's like, it's better if you and I are poor than if I'm middle class and you're rich.
Mm.
If we're both poor, then that's equality. If I'm middle class and James Strong is rich, that's racism. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all. And that's the magic about this country. In fact, that's the magic about the West in general, is that if you take, and I'm not going to say Western countries like North America and Europe, but I'll include Japan in there. I'll include South Korea in there. Countries who have embraced Western ideology,
capitalism.
Capitalism. There is no true capitalist society anymore. There's a bit of nationalism and or socialism that's mixed into all of it, and I get that. But the thing is those societies in those countries in general, and the United States in particular, basically, if you're not addicted to drugs, if you're not mentally challenged, if you're not, that's about the only two excuses you have in this country for not succeeding. And by succeeding, I don't mean why anybody who wants to can accomplish anything that they want in the world. Well, no, that's not true at all. I mean, neither you as much. If you went out and practiced a whole lot, you're never going to play in the NFL. Sorry, right. It's not going to happen. Okay,
which is why they get paid so much.
That's exactly right. And plus,
why they get paid more than teachers.
That's exactly what. Yeah,
you and I could become you and I could probably become public school teachers.
Of course,
we ain't going to become NFL.
Never.
We ain't going to become NFL wide receivers.
Never. No, and it's just the way things are. But in this country,
if you explain that in 7th grade economics, we'll have a much smarter political country. But they don't.
Yeah.
Right there is more economics than 99% of the country gets.
And I was told that, and it was funny because when I was a boy, I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player so bad, right. And I was probably 15 before I realized, this probably isn't going to happen. Well, yeah, it could still happen. Nope, I got cut twice from the high school team. It's probably not going to happen.
Right.
Okay. So stop with the Pollyanna. But it doesn't mean that you can do something else. When I got out of high school, I wanted nothing more than to be a draftsman. Well, I couldn't find a job as a draftsman, so I figured if I couldn't draw it, I'll build it. So I went to trade school and became a machinist, and I did very well doing that. I now sell stuff that I used to build. So
right.
it worked out fine.
You find your niche, you find the thing that you can do,
and that's what you can do in this country.
You're not guaranteed what that other person can do, and people don't realize that other person, whether it's the CEO. Like I remember a discussion I had with which is one of the reasons why I think I'm hard on liberals, is because the first communist I met in high school was a smart guy who I respected. Mm-hmm. And one day Marty was saying, we were like 15, he says, yeah, I'm a communist. I'm just like, dude, you don't know what that means, man. And he goes, yeah, I am. It means that the person that builds the plane should make as much as the surgeon. I said, Marty, do you know how much it costs to become a surgeon? He goes, what? This is in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it cost $250,000 in 12 years of school.
Mm-hmm.